Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Indostar Capital Finance Q1 FY22 results conference call hosted by Motilal Oswal Financial Services Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal the operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Alpesh Mehta from Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Livia, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Indostar Capital Finance result conference call to discuss about 1Q FY22 earnings. Today we have with us Mr. R. Sridhar, who is the Executive Vice Chairman and CEO, Mr. Anmol Joshi, CFO, Mr. Deep Jaggi, Chief Business Officer, Ms. Jaya Janardana, Chief Operating Officer, and Mr. Salil Bawa, who is the Head Investor Relations. Now, without much ado, I hand it over to Mr. Sridhar for the opening comments, and post which we will have a Q&A session. Thanks, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Alpesh, and thanks for all the participants for taking time out to join this Q1 FY22 earnings call. Hope all of you and family are staying safe and healthy. So before we discuss the Q1 numbers, I would like to set the context for our interaction today morning. So as you all know, Indostar is managing a transition for the past few years from moving from corporate lending business to granular retail business. And when I joined in 2017, we had a 80-20 mix of corporate and retail, which we have in the last 4 years successfully converted into a 20-80 almost. So in the last 2 or 3 years, when the entire industry faced multiple challenges, commencing from the credibility and liquidity crisis arising out of IL&FS, followed by sluggish GDP, CV down cycle, and on top of it, a long 15-16 months of pandemic COVID-1 and COVID-2. So during this challenging period, we have achieved few strategic initiatives which has put Indostar on a strong wicket for a future growth. So the first thing which we have done during this period is strengthening of the balance sheet. So in that respect, we have been able to bring a global strong private equity, Brookfield, which is the second largest in the world. Brookfield had multiple options to invest in the NBFC space, as we had multiple partners who were looking for capital. But finally, the chemistry worked out, and Brookfield had taken equity in the company and now become a significant single largest shareholder with the majority stake. This partnership has not only provided capital, growth capital, but also strengthened our ALM. And as Brookfield had a lot of relationship with the banking community, it has also improved our liquidity pipeline substantially. So at one stroke, we have strengthened the liability substantially. Because of the huge growth capital that come, and also looking into the impact of the challenges which we were facing in the environment, board has mandated the company and the management to clean. So we have taken accelerated provisions, aggressive write-off, and couple of ARC transactions we have done in the last 2 years, particularly in March 20 and in March 21. And with that, by Q1 of June 30th, I feel that we have completely cleaned the book, and I do feel that there will be no further credit cost which will come on a portfolio which is up to 31st of October 2020. So these two have been major decisions which we have taken to strengthen the liability side. The third major decision we have taken is a partnership with ICICI Bank. As we have encountered a massive liquidity crunch in the marketplace, as a strategy, we have built a partnership with ICICI Bank where we have already lent more than 1,000 crores in CV business on a franchisee model, a co-lending model, and we have renegotiated the commercials, and that partnership is going to make us leverage more going forward, as well as it will provide the much needed liquidity in case the liquidity crunch comes back in our 5-year journey. So with this kind of initiatives we have done, we have also prepared an aspirational 5-year plan commencing from 1st April 2021 to 31st March 2026, where we have articulated clearly our granular retail journey. So in that, what we have done in the 5-year plan is clearly we have spelled out that we will exit the corporate lending business. We are now 77% retail and 23% corporate, which I hope that by March 2022 will come down below 10%, and in next 1 year this will eventually become zero, leading to the Indostar becoming a full 100% retail financing company. And in the retail financing space, we are strategically going to use 3 balance sheets. The parent balance sheet is going to be fully 100% used vehicles, which will comprise of mainly used commercial vehicle financing business. In this used commercial vehicle financing business, which we have been doing, we are going to expand geography, products, as well as customer segment. As you all know, there are 2 major companies in this business, which is Shriram Transport and Chola. So we have carved a niche for ourselves in the customer segment, which is beyond first-time users. As Shriram Transport is the leader in first-time user segment, we are not going to be present there. It's a very difficult business. So we are going to be from first-time borrowers to 5 vehicle owners, as against the earlier customer segment of 2 or 3 vehicles owner. So this expands our customer base for future growth potential. As we are present in 250 locations, we have an aspiration to build 1,000 branches, which would be built on a hub and spoke model with smart branches. The hub and spoke is for every hub, there will be 3 branches and 1 rural center, consisting of 5 business locations, contributing to about 6 crores per month disbursement. So today we have 250 of 50 hubs, which will contribute about 300 crores per month. From there, we are moving to 200 hubs in the next 5 years. So geographical expansion, which will consist of all the 4 zones, east, west, north, and south, as well as we have already started our presence in the northeast. So that is one. The third is the product expansion. Apart from used commercial vehicles, we will also be creating presence in tractors, passenger commercial vehicles, and construction equipment. We do hope that our projections show this will not go beyond 5% each, contributing to 15% in total. The balance 85% will be in used commercial vehicles. So we are going to focus on 5 to 12 year segment where the penetration of the current players is less than 50%, leaving a lot of scope for us to gain market share. And as you all know, the scrappage policy is on the implementation phase. Once the pandemic subsides, it's going to come, and we estimate that 78 lakh vehicles which are beyond 15 years will be phased out gradually, and this will generate a huge replacement demand of 100,000 to 125,000 crores. So sensing this kind of an opportunity, we have strengthened our senior management team by bringing in a chief business officer who has put in 20 years in this space, and recently we have brought Mr. Ravi Kumar, another 20-year veteran from Chola. Both of them have come, and they have been followed by a lot of regional divisional and SBU team. So we have a fantastic team in place, and the proof of the pudding is in the business which we have done from November 2020. After the pandemic moratorium and restructuring, the portfolio we have generated in the last 9 months from November to July of 1,250 crores, most of them, more than 95% of them in stage, which proves that the work we have done, the learnings we have made of the past and changes we have made in the team as well as in the policy is proving to be fantastic. So from the current 3,000 crores, we feel that in the next 5 years, this used commercial vehicle finance business will grow at least 10 times in the next 5 years. That is the kind of potential is there, and we are well prepared to take that advantage. As far as the second balance sheet is concerned, it's going to be our housing finance business, where we have focused on AHF. I am happy to inform you that we have crossed 1,000 crores AUM in this business. In the last 3 years, we have been doing this. This is a hidden and unnoticed jewel in our crown, the housing finance business. This business we have started in 2018, and we have generated 1,000 crore AUM, a good profitability, and what is heartening is exceptional asset quality. So the management team, which had given us this kind of a performance, made the board and the shareholders feel that this business, instead of being a standalone, should be made independent. So we have recently promoted our business heads to a deputy CEO position, and we have capitalized this company substantially. And also we are going to reduce the board, and we are going to do everything which will make this independent in the next 6 months. So this business is, as you all know, is going to be in 6 or 7 states, consisting of mostly south and west states, and it is going to be in self-construction space. The ticket size is less than 10 lakhs. The yield is going to be around 14%. As the cost of funds is very low and the risk weight is less, we feel that this business will be more than 3% ROA business. With leverage, it can produce a fantastic return on equity. The credit cost in this business is, as far as we are concerned, is substantially low, and we do feel that we will be able to grow this business from the current 1,000 crores by 7 to 8 times in the next 5 years. That is the kind of potential is there, and this business will grow its separate independent branches and people. The third balance sheet we are going to use is going to be the partnership bank balance sheet, which is an off-balance sheet strategy we have developed for our SME as well as the new vehicle business. As we all know, we have developed a business, a partnership with ICICI Bank that will be strengthened going forward. So the lower yielding SME as well as the new vehicle business will be done in partnership with banks. So with these 3 initiatives, we do feel that we have a fantastic growth story in the retail business from Q1 FY22. So in commercial vehicle financing business, the used commercial vehicle and the other 3 products will be giving us a 17 to 18% yield, and we have already touched in July 17.5% yield. So that would be further strengthened, and with the cost of funds going down, we have now 9.5 projected to be 9. We are going to be with a capital of about 35%, a double-digit net interest margin is going to be there. With smart branches, where the expansion of the branches, operating expenses are going to be low, and with the digitization, we do feel the operating expenses will be controlled and the productivity will be increased, where we would be able to produce a very good return on asset in both these businesses. With off-balance sheet strategy, the leverage is going to be fantastic. So with these things, with the kind of liability strength which we have done, what we are looking at is no more further credit cost. The business teams are committing to us that The business which we will be doing, most of them, more than 90% of them will be in stage 1, necessitating a lesser credit provisioning. As we are carrying in the past 2 years a lot of provisions with write-offs, we are also working on a micro level with each and every contract to enable and look at write-backs. The write-offs which we have done are mostly technical write-offs, which have been done in the accounts and the balance sheet. But as far as the business is concerned, the collection initiatives are continuing. So we do expect that no further credit cost, and there is a very good possibility of write-back. So all our challenges and problems are behind us, and we are looking forward to a 5-year of an exciting journey where we are making Indostar as an emerging company with good businesses, granular, small ticket, highly scalable, high potential and profitable. With the kind of infrastructure investments, smart branches and digitization, we do feel the operating expenses control and credit cost control. We should be in a position to build a fantastic retail book. A few words about corporate before I leave the forum for questions. The corporate book, as I told you, is running down, and today we have a 1,900 crore book. We have already taken a provision of 200 crores. The management overlay is there, which we have estimated could be the eventual haircut when we run down this business. But we do feel that that's more than adequate, and I do feel that it is fully protected and covered. But here also there is a possibility of some write back, as the borrowers whom we have a long relationship, when they understand that we are not going to lend further, they are also shifting to other lenders. There are balance transfers are happening with haircuts literally near zero. So we do expect that we have a cushion there. So we are looking forward to a fantastic 5 years. The Indostar is a growing organization in good business lines. So we have put the building blocks on both liabilities as well as on the asset side. As we are building our branches from 250 to 1,000, you find that our cost to income as well as the operating expenses moving up. But these are all should not be viewed as expenses. These are all investments. And as we are combining smart branches, which are very cost effective, with the digitization, the break-even of these branches are made 50% the time. Earlier it used to take 15, 16 months. Now it's going to be 8 to 9 months. So all these branches are going to pay back quickly. And in the ramp-up period, it is necessary for us to invest. And that's why you will find that a little cost to income, but our income going up with good yields, we do expect that cost to income will come down to 30% in the next 5 years. So that is the kind of information, a preview I am giving to you. As far as the Q1 is concerned, I would consider this to be a strong quarter for us, considering the environment. We have made a disbursement of 628 crores during this month, averaging to 210 crores in a month. And in the CV business, which is going to be the engine for growth, we have already started doing 230 crores, which is nearly 1 crore per branch per month, which is likely to go up to 350 crores. So we are confident that every quarter we should be touching more than 1,000 crores of disbursements. As I had mentioned, the credit cost, we have been conservative in cleaning up, so we have taken credit cost as a proactive basis. So all our credit costs are over. Now we are looking to build all these businesses going forward. So with these views, I leave the forum for an interaction. Me and my team would be very happy to answer all your questions. Thank you very much.
Should we open up for questions?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with the question and answer session. Anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and one on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is on the line of Dikshit Doshi from Whitestone Financial Advisors. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity, sir. Sir, my first question is related to the prepayment and the balance transfer. So if I look at, we have done a 627 crore of disbursement, and our retail book has come down quarter on quarter by almost 520 crore. So the prepayment or balance transfer is almost 1100 crore plus. So and we are targeting 1,000 crore disbursement every quarter. Then what gives you confidence of adding a 3,000 to 4,000 crore book which you used to tell in the last quarter?
In the past, there are two things. One is the runoff of our existing book, and as our disbursements grow beyond the runoff, there will be a positive accretion. So that has started already happening. The second one is, in this quarter we have also sold a portfolio, so that is why you will find that the retail portfolio has come down. That's all over now. So from now on, there will be a positive increase to our assets. So as I had mentioned to you, we are confident of growing the disbursements in retail only of beyond 1,000 crores in this quarter itself. So from this quarter, there will be a growth month on month and quarter on quarter in the three retail businesses which we are focusing. Particularly, vehicle will be the engine, then affordable, then SME. In all these three businesses, so if you take 3 quarters, this should be 3,000 crore plus. That is what I mentioned.
Okay. And can you just elaborate on, say that how much would be the monthly or a quarterly run rate of rundown of the book? Prepayment or balance transfer?
Should be slightly less than 200 crores.
Quarterly?
Yeah, monthly.
Okay, monthly. Okay. Now the second question is, what will be the annual size of the used CV market? And related to that, you mentioned that scrappage policy will benefit. But just a question related to that let's say somebody have a 15-year-old vehicle and he go for a scrappage, he will be getting in some of the incentives like the registration cost will not be there for a new vehicle purchase. Then why he would go for a used CV rather than a new purchase?
See, basically we are going to focus on 5 to 12-year-old segment, which in a 8-year model, the current estimate is around 7 to 8 million vehicles are there in the population, where Shriram Transport and Chola are the major players and few peripheral players are there. So their penetration is less than 50% if you look at their assets under management. So the balance is contributed by the unorganized sector. There are no other serious players in this segment. So that is why, because of my background in used commercial vehicle finance business for 3 decades, we are getting into that space, sensing a great opportunity. So the base itself gives you a fantastic opportunity to gain market share from unorganized sector. Plus, as I mentioned, the 15-year-old vehicles are 7 to 8 lakhs. So these vehicles are anywhere between 15 to 25 or 30. So these vehicles application we have to understand. These applications are small distance freight carrying activity. It could be in the construction sites carrying sand and bricks. It could be garbage cleaning in municipal corporations. It could be household shifting, but it would do a very short distance freight carrying because of the age and inefficiency. So when the government brings too many restrictions and constraints in operating this business, these people would like to change their vehicle but they cannot go for new vehicle because the price differential will be huge, which will not support their freight earning. So they will go for newer vehicle. So when they go, for example, 10-year-old vehicle, the person who sold 10-year-old will go for a 5-year-old. The guy who sold for 5 years will go for a new vehicle. That's the thought process. So every vehicle which is more than 15, if it has to become a new vehicle demand, it has to churn 3 times minimum. So that is why we feel 8 lakh vehicle, if it has to phase out, we'll have to create a 24 lakh of replacement demand. If we take an average of 5 lakh, 120,000 crores will be the replacement demand. That is what I mentioned. And this 15-year-old is not going to be a static one. Every year there will be 1-year vehicle will become 15-year-old. So it's going to be a continuous replacement demand which will come. And if this becomes successful, I am very confident the government will bring down 15 to 12 years. Then the 12 year will become 10 years. So the end of life policy, the next 10 or 15 years will become 10 years is what I suppose. For the benefit of this country, better fuel efficiency, better road maintenance, all that will be helping if we modernize the fleet. So the used vehicle replacement demand is going to be continuous for next decade or 2. So sensing an opportunity, we are getting into that space in a very aggressive manner with an aspirational growth plan. This is very profitable, highly scalable, and we have put together a team which had 20 to 25 years of experience in building this business.
Okay, great, sir. And just one last question from my side. Sir, what is the deadline for, promoter to bring down the stake to 75%? By when they have to bring it down?
Hey, today, because of the pandemic, there is no hard and fast rule here. But the shareholders are working on it, and they will do in consultation with the regulator.
Okay, but is there any deadline from regulator that by this time?
No. See, regulation is different, but considering the pandemic, okay, the regulation is flexible.
Okay, got it, sir. Thank you. Well, thank you. That's it from my side.
Yeah.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is on the line of Rishikesh Oza from Robo Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Very good morning. So my first question is that, you have talked in the last con calls and also in this con calls about multifold loan book growth around 7-8x, and also you have talked just about, 1,000 crores of disbursement. So if there's no third wave, can we expect this at least 40% annual growth run rate to start from next 1 or 2 quarters in loan book side?
Yeah, see, as the base is low, the growth percentage will be very high. See, we are a 6,000 crore retail book now. So that 6,000 crores, in 1 year, if we are doing a 4,500 crores of disbursement, there will be a disbursement growth to the base is 75%. But if you deduct the runoff, we will be growing around 30 to 35%.
Okay. And my second question is, sir, what will be the credit cost for FY22 and FY23?
See, our credit cost is completely provided and protected, as I've told you. There will be no further credit cost from retail business as well as corporate business for the existing portfolio, which was there as of 31st October 2020. So that is one batch of assets we are keeping. The second batch is businesses which we have disbursed from November 1st to 2020, as I mentioned. That will continue to be most of the portfolio, more than 95% will be in stage 1. So there will be a very less incremental provision which would be required. As we are also hoping that there will be possibilities of write back, the net of the write back and the incremental provision will be positive to the P&L.
Okay. So, sir, our yields are between Chola and Shriram Transport, So will it be fair to say the normalized credit cost in future years will be between the credit cost for those two players, which comes to around 1.5 to 1.75%?
Yeah, I will tell you a benchmark that Shriram is operating at more than 20%, so 24. So their credit cost is higher because they are operating in a slightly riskier segment. And Chola is at 14% blended yield, where their used vehicles are around 15%, new vehicles are around 12.5%, so they are operating at 14. So we are adopting a different strategy. So we will be operating on a balance sheet completely used, which will be between 17 to 18%. So the yield of Indostar is going to be between Chola and Shriram, as you rightly said, but it is going to be fully used vehicles. And the new vehicles will be in bank's balance sheet. So we do hope that our blend will be around 16%. So if you take a industry benchmark of over the last few decades, it would be 10% of the yield could be the maximum credit loss. So you are right in putting a 1.5 to 1.6% as the eternal credit cost in our CV book going forward.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Abhijit. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for taking my question. So the first question was around your asset quality. If you could please kind of help us understand what is your stage 2 looking like now, and if possible, if you could give a product-wise stage 2 for the three retail product segments.
Yeah. So, hi, this is Amol here. One is, as we had alluded in Q4, our stage 2 at that point of time was 24.5%. We have seen a slight improvement there with focus at our side clearly being on containing stage 1 and stage 2 movement, and also with a new collection head at the helm. We clearly see traction, and it's only become better as of July. So between the products, the key movement between Q4 and Q1 has been on the SME book, where we have seen some incremental stress, where there's a stage 1 to stage 2 movement, and also some restructuring that we have done. As I mentioned in our previous calls, any restructuring that we do, even for a zero DPD customer, we by default classify that customer as a stage 2 customer and take incremental provision. The RBI has also, while we have been doing a 10% provision on all restructuring, the RBI also recognized the fact that it needed incremental provision, and they have upped their limit from 5% to 10%. So we have also taken recognition of that fact, and where required on a case-by-case basis, even though it's a granular retail portfolio, we have stepped up provision accordingly. So while overall basis, it has moved into a better terrain, from an SME perspective, there's been some incremental movement from stage 1 to stage 2.
And going forward, we do expect that we should come to a single-digit stage 2 in March.
Sir, when you say it will come down to single-digit stage 2, and Amol was alluding that from 24.5% or Q, it has come down marginally. So fair to say that maybe, let's say, if we are at around that 22-23% mark stage 2, by when do you expect this to come down to single-digit stage 2?
See, there are a couple of strategies we are adopting. One is, as I told you, October 2020, that book, we are building a separate collection vertical, and we are doing everything to collect and roll back the stages, 3 to 2 and 2 to 1. That's a big focus with that we are doing. Also, the book which we are generating now, new book, as I told you in the 9 months, more than 95% is in stage 1. So we will continue that kind of incremental book, which will also help us in improving the blended books stages. So that is why we feel that it should move to a single digit by March 22, as we put another 3,000-4,000 crores of book with exceptional asset quality.
Okay, all right. And Amol, you alluded that there has been some movement from stage 1 to stage 2 in your CV book. I recall last quarter we had suggested that the CV stage 2 was around 32%. Would it typically be around the 34-35% mark now?
Yes, it is holding. It's actually a few percentage points better, but it's in the same range. Yes.
Okay. And any indication on what is the kind of provisioning that we are carrying in the different product segments, CV, SME, and affordable housing?
So clearly, in Q4 we did a step up in provisioning, especially on stage 3. You can see that in the asset quality slide that we have put in. We are at 55% and thereabouts for CV, and SME also we have increased it. For HFC we are at around 20%. What we have clearly seen is that these provisions, as we start recovery process and things normalize on the ground, we expect as we revisit the ECL model in the coming quarters, it to get a bit toned down. Because when we did it, we had the advantage that we did it in the mid of June, where wave 2 was at its peak, and hence the whole environment supported that kind of provisioning. As we go through the year and things normalize, we will see some tone down in the overall provisioning rates we are carrying at every stage of our book.
Sure. And the other question that I had was on the restructuring. Obviously, on a QOQ basis, we see that the absolute amount of restructured pool has come down. But important thing for us and maybe the other investors is to understand that what is the pipeline looking like for you? Because, I mean, like this restructuring window is open until September end. So, I mean, what are the thoughts around where could this restructuring pool finally settle, depending on what the pipeline is looking like now?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. It gives me an opportunity to explain it in detail. So clearly, you would have seen that for our affordable home finance business, we have done zero restructuring. So restructuring for us as a tool is an opportunity only if the customer needs it. Our team actually assesses the requirements. A lot of times what we have seen, some of the other lenders to that our customers have allowed them restructuring. So they treat it as a right. Whereas when we see capacity to pay, we hold on with an option for our customers at least. So that kind of conflict happens on the ground. But clearly, as we moved beyond the wave 2, in July we've seen the traction for restructuring coming down. There will always be pockets where we might eventually take a call between now and 30th September, but we don't see any major upswing in the kind of volumes we are looking for restructuring.
Sure. And the other two questions that I had was for Sridhar sir. One was on growth, the other one was on OPEX, while you have obviously briefly touched upon them in few of the previous questions. But where we are now, and assuming that, I mean, the COVID is here to stay for maybe the next few quarters, and we really can't kind of predict how the COVID situation in the country will be like. But that thing aside, I mean, for the next, let's say, 4 or 5 years, where do you see yourself growing to over the next 4 or 5 years? And the other thing is around the OPEX. I mean, you did talk about opening smart branches, which will have about half the break-even time. You did talk about that hub and spoke model. But having said that, I mean, where do you see this OPEX finally kind of settling down after, let's say, the next 3 to 4 years?
Yeah, see, as I told you, the OPEX today is looking little high because of some one-off costs are there. So if you net it off, we should be around 25 crores for this quarter, which would grow a little bit on a quarter-on-quarter basis due to the infrastructure which we are creating. As and when we grow our branches, there will be an operating expenses which will come. So as I mentioned to you, that should be looked at as an investment for future growth, because without branches, we will not be able to grow our book. Having said that, we are also focusing on reducing the operating expenses substantially. So we are going for low cost, less space, branches, which will have very less fixed cost. Plus, we are combining with the state-of-the-art digitization and apps which will be given to the field staff for doing most of their activities. So with that, we would be able to reduce the operating expenses substantially and enhance the productivity of the field force. So that would be reflected in the break-even, which we would measure in terms of that. So that is the point. This quarter, it has been inflated to the extent of around 20 crores, which had been one-off cost, which should be neutralized. And with regard to your growth, I have already mentioned to you that in the vehicle finance, used vehicles, I feel that from the current levels of 3,200 or something like that, we can look at 10 times in 5 years' time, and as well as in the new commercial vehicles, which would be 25% of that book. In affordable housing, I am putting from 7 to 8 times, but if we are confident of the asset quality, we can even look at 10 times there. So the potential for growth is fantastic in our space, and as you notice that these businesses are niche businesses where we are having a lot of entry barriers. So not new players are going to come into this space in a big way. The potential is very high, profitability is good, and the scalability is outstanding. So if we have the right kind of teams which can source and underwrite and collect, then we should be in for a fantastic 5-year growth plan.
Sure, sir. This is very useful. Maybe I will come back in the question queue if I have more questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Pankaj Prasoon from HNI Investor. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir, and the team of IndoStar. So my question is very strategic in nature. Just I want to understand that last 4-5 quarters, you are doing the accelerated provisioning and all. So can you assure us as an investor that from here on there will be no such kind of bombarding on us? The first thing is that. And what I understand, due to scrappage policy and the pent-up demand, the kind of China Plus One activity is going to come to India. So the demand for commercial vehicle will be very large. And what I understand from the IndoStar team is having collectively they had managed more than 1.5 lakh crores of assets. Either Sridhar sir or Divyaji sir or Mr. Ravi or Mr. Sudeep or Jaya Janardhan collectively. So, Sridhar sir, so we are right now, what you tell the 5 year, you are targeting something like 40,000 crores. Don't you think that the kind of team you have a great potential to reach to more than 1 lakh crores? So those things I want to understand.
Thank you, sir. So you see, what we normally do is put together a plan and execute it. So you are absolutely right. In my past also, when I looked at a 3 times growth, I had grown 7 times, 8 times. So as you rightly said, if we have the building blocks of a liability strength, you know that we have Brookfield as our partner, there is a big pocket. If there is an opportunity to grow more, capital is not a constraint. So today, NBFCs, apart from the asset side strength, should have the liability side strength also. So as I have articulated, a partner like Brookfield plus a strong ALM and a liquidity pipeline and another strategic partnership with ICICI puts IndoStar in a different league with the kind of product which we are going to be present in a granular ticket size, which is scalable with high potential in the next 5 to 10 years. We are a different kind of an NBFC which is going to take advantage of the unfolding potential which is going to come post the pandemic. So as you rightly said, the combined assets under management which myself, Deep and Ravi and other team members have done is in excess of 100,000 crores or something like that. So there are not many players who are going to come into used commercial vehicles. We are going to be the third largest player, and because of lower size, our ability to grow, and we are going to be nimble. So, as you rightly said, we are putting a number and for the direction, but if there is an opportunity, nothing puts us in a constraint to grow beyond what I have mentioned.
Yeah, and sir, my one question was that can you assure us that henceforth there will not be any negative surprise on the provisioning front? Because
I am assuring you.
So what I understand that the Brookfield has got a very good name. This is the only NBFC, MNC NBFC, which is trading at such a steep discount. Somewhere I think probably we are not able to convince the investor that now onwards we are not going to give you soft.
No, see, it's not only on the credit cost. See, we are doing a transition. So during the transition, unfortunately, we encountered multiple challenges. And because of that, all these things have happened. As I mentioned to you, all these are over. And now we should march forward with the corporate lending going down, retail business going up, credit costs have been taken, write back possibility. I am sure that the market will recognize. And the other one is the affordable housing finance business, which have not been factored by the market, will also see traction. And I am very confident that this will be noticed. And as we show month on month and quarter on quarter progress in our performance, the market will recognize. That will happen from now. So I am assuring you that.
Sir, one more thing. Do we see that we will be a flavor of fintech also in Indostar?
Yeah. Because our businesses involve an asset, which needs to be done. So we are building a very state-of-the-art digitization. So we will also bring in fintech partners to help us in customer evaluation, in risk management, in fraud control, so many things which we are talking to multiple players, and we will bring that once our digitization is ready in the next couple of months.
So, sir, I would request you to kindly incorporate those things in next investment presentation, please.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thanks for the suggestion. We have taken your point and we will incorporate it.
Yeah, sir, one more thing. On the ESOP front, in the past, I have seen the big authority from the company has used this like a day-to-day expenses kind of. So please be mindful, sir, because our equity is very costly. Indostar equity is not so cheap, sir. So in the past it has happened and that has hurted me a lot.
Okay. So we take a point. Now the team which had the initial ESOP have all left. Now whatever we are giving is a rear-ended vesting. So it's a 10, 20, 30, 40. So the team has been clearly told that it is a retention policy. As we are emerging, we are going to give an ESOP now, which would be top down for about 150, 200 people only. So it won't be a challenge in the future.
Thank you, sir, because I see Indostar at least in 6-digit market cap. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Prachal Shah from CapGrow Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to know about a data keeping question. So on slide 19, you have shown the GNPA and net NPA for the firm. So, sorry, does this include the standard provisions as well in excess of NPA?
Hi, this is Amol here. This is only the stage 3 that we have put it out here.
So what is the excess that they're carrying on the books?
So what happens is that the provision pool is fixed. So you typically tag it against the individual asset. So just to give you some flavor around of our 7,800 crores of AUM, we're carrying around 8.8% of provision cover between stage 1, stage 2 and stage 3. On slide 19, what you see is only the stage 3 book.
8.8% of the book you're carrying, you said, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. And so just wanted to know about the growth that already previous participants have asked. So what challenges are we facing today when we go out to disburse? What is stopping us from disbursing? Because if you see your competitors, Shriram and Chola, they still have grown their book year on year in the past few quarters, whereas we have run down our book for the previous 6 quarters and even beyond that. So what challenges are we facing? What is stopping us from growing our book, especially when we have so much capital sitting on our books?
See, from last March 20, when the COVID-1 lockdown started, so everybody stopped the disbursing, but some companies which are old have still continued. But we stopped and we made it a policy that as and when we collect 100% collection, then we'll restart. So slowly the collection efficiency improved, which we have given in our table. October 2020, we achieved 100% and we started disbursement from November. So if you are comparing the disbursement numbers between Indostar, Shriram and Chola, if you see the branch average, everything will be more or less same. So Shriram has got about 2,000 branches positions. So they do easily 2,000 crores. They can do even still more. So this business is having a constraint of about 1 crore or 1.5 crores will be the productivity of a branch in a single product. So as and when we ramp our infrastructure, branch network, our disbursements will grow. So today there is no comparison. 250 branches, they are doing 250 crores.
So sorry, you said so as and when you open new branches, growth should come. Is that correct?
Yes. See, for example, as I told you, today 250 branches is 50 hubs. So these 50 hubs have got a hub location plus 3 branches and 1 rural center, 6, which will do 5 locations, which will do about 6 crores disbursements minimum. So for our 50 hubs, we should do 300 crores, which we will reach this month or next month. So when we do that, as and when we keep increasing our hubs, our disbursements will grow. So for example, in 2026, when we are going to have 200 hubs with an inflation of 25%, we should be doing 1,500 crore disbursement per month is the estimate.
So with these hubs rising and the number of branches also rising,
yeah,
how do we see efficiency kick in? Because we are also guiding for a drop in cost to income. So are you saying that these branches are not they are very low cost model, or how does that work?
Yeah, as I explained, low cost branches, we call it smart branch, combined with the digitization app and all that, we are reducing the operating expenses, which we are incurring more in the Gen 1 branch. Now this Gen 2 branches will be low cost. And then productivity will be increasing. As against a 25 lakhs productivity, the field officers will be doing 35 lakhs. So because of that, the break even will come down from 15, 16 to 7, 8 months. So that is the efficiency which will keep. And as I have told you, in order to sustain the asset quality, we are also building a collection vertical. We have brought in a guy who had spent 11 years in Chola as our national collection head for PV. And with that, we are building a collection vertical. So from the portfolio which we are generating from November, we are trying to keep more than 95% in the stage 1 all the time. So that we are monitoring very closely. And when we do that, the asset quality will get sustained. So with operating expenses reduction, productivity increase, and efficient credit management, we would be able to increase the return on assets substantially because we are operating in a higher yielding product. Cost of funds is going down. So all these things are going to work for us. So the strategy is in place. We have to just go and execute it.
Okay. And one last question. So you said that stage 2 in the previous quarter was 24.5%. And this quarter, it is a little lower than that. So how does that compare to pre-COVID scenario?
So clearly, before pre-COVID, we had a few challenges in growing the book. So it used to hover around 12 to 15%. Our going forward outlook that we have is, as Sridhar alluded, to bring it down to single digit as we embark on our journey to really expand retail disbursement.
Okay, so roughly around 8%. I can assume that 7-8 percentage points we are higher than pre-COVID right now in stage 2.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the external environment is such that I think it will only get better from here.
And most of it would be sitting in CV?
CV is my largest retail book. You're right. Most of it is in CV.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Alpesh Mehta. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Most of the questions have been answered. Sir, two questions from my side. One is after entire execution of the story, in your 3-year or a 5-year plan, where do you see your ROAs and the ROEs settling down to? That's the first part. Secondly, from a near-term perspective, we are still sitting on a very high amount of liquidity, which would be one of the highest in the system at almost 23-24% of the borrowings. So what is the plan to run down this excess liquidity from the balance sheet considering the environment now? And two questions for Amol as well. Amol, all these restructured loans, I assume they should be a part of the GS2 loans. And is there any pipeline left or the request that we have? And another question on the corporate loan would be, are we done with all the kind of provisioning which is required on the corporate loans? Any termination losses or the mark-to-market losses when we sell down the portfolio? Thank you.
Yeah. So as I had articulated, Alpesh, the ROA will keep increasing. The incremental book which we are doing is in a double-digit NIM. So with the credit cost behind us, we have an aspiration to have an ROA of more than 3% in both the businesses. But the credit rating mandated leverage is 5 times. So what we are trying to do is a 3.5% ROA will take us to a 15% ROE. But what we are doing as a strategy to enhance the return for the stakeholders, we are also combining a strategy of off-balance sheet in the businesses of new vehicles and SME. So that would require a lower capital. So we can leverage around 6 times. So I do foresee in the next 5 years, we should be on a gradual increase from now, should be in the band between 15 to 18% is what is our projections show, which we should definitely be able to achieve it if our executions are in place. So that is what we are doing. And as far as the liquidity is concerned, we are making conscious efforts to reduce it because of the environment. The rating agencies have requested us, mandated us to carry a larger cash. As things improve, the cash is being reduced, and we are also making a little bit of improvement in the treasury income. Plus, the cost of funds is continuously on the decline. So from a double digit, we have now come to 9.5. We project it to be 9 by March 22, and still, if the benign interest rate regime continues, we should be marking, this average cost. So marginal cost is lower, average cost is coming down. So I do feel that in the next 1 or 2 years, if this trend continues, there will be a convergence of the average and the marginal cost below 9%, which is going to enhance our net interest margin substantially. So all sides we are making progress, and the results will be visible in the quarters going forward.
Sir, just slightly on this point, on the incremental, since our incremental cost of fund is around 8.4%, right? And the lending that you are doing is at around 16% on the CV loan. So almost 7.5% kind of a spread and the 10% plus kind of a margin are we doing for the incremental book onto the used CV segment right now?
Yeah, see, as you rightly said, we will be in a double-digit net interest margin in the used vehicles all the time. Even if you assume that in the next 3-4 years the capital adequacy comes down to 20%, even then, a 8% spread will give you a 10% NIM because you are adding a 20% capital to it. And if you look at our affordable housing, we have a 40% plus capital adequacy there. So there with a spread of 6%, there also we will be near to a double-digit net interest margin. So all these things will be visible once the existing book and the growth comes in, the control. So we are attending to it. So by March 22, we will look totally different. With another 3,000-4,000 crores, we put it into the retail of good quality. Everything will look different. So that would be a foundation on which we would like to grow next 4 years.
And the existing book which is sourced pre-October 20, is it fair to assume that by mid of next year, the entire book would be repaid, the retail loans?
Yeah, some of the restrictions. Yeah, most of them will run off. Particularly the acquired book will go off by middle of next year. And some restructured books have been elongated repayment schedule, so that will continue. But what happens is that the control on the credit cost has already been taken, so there will be no more negative surprises in that portfolio. So it will run off. So the new book which we are developing is micromanaged on a day-to-day basis. So Deep Jaggi takes control of the situation and monitors it on a daily basis. So we don't allow any slippages there. So any remedy is attended to immediately then and there. So we would like it to be a culture of the company, and then on top of it, we are also building a collection vertical. So everyone is going to be preoccupied and obsessed with asset quality, and we will be focusing on that. So the existing book, when it runs off, you will have a much superior quality portfolio in both our businesses.
Great. Amol, sorry, the last two questions.
Yeah, sure, Alpesh. Thanks. On restructuring, clearly our window is another 1.5 months, and you've seen the numbers we did in Q1, which were during COVID. So as things normalize, we will actively work with our customers to ensure we don't opt for this, especially if we see that if it's only a short-term blip. Where required, we'll still exercise the call to do the restructuring. Affordable home, as you've seen, we have managed to hold good. It has led to increase of some NPAs, but quite confident that as we proceed to August and September, some restructuring will happen there, but it will not be in excess of around 2 or 3% of the overall book. In terms of your question on corporate book, the 200 crore provision that we carry, we feel is sufficient to take any shocks as we come. Some traction on sell down is already happening. Hopefully, when we give Q2 numbers, we will have some concrete numbers to share with you on the same.
Okay, great. Thanks. I guess we are run out of the time. Thanks a lot. Sir, do you have any closing comments to offer?
No, as I mentioned, that I have had a detailed, given an overview of what is that we are planning to do in the next 5 years. So we have to come out of the hangover of the past that's over, and we have control on everything. We have put the building blocks in place. The team is very confident and bullish about the execution of that, which you will all see on a month-on-month and quarter-on-quarter the improvements in the state. So we are going to have an exciting 5-year journey, and we do hope that there are no environmental shocks which will come. On that basis, we have built it, and whatever I have articulated, we are confident of achieving it, and we will only improve. As I said, no credit cost, and there are possibilities of write back. Growth is absolutely in place. So with these words, I would look forward to meeting you again in the next investor call, and wish you all again safety and health for you and your family. Thanks for joining us, and look forward to meeting you again. Thank you.
Thanks a lot everyone for joining us for this call, and thanks a lot to the management for allowing us to host this call. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If you have any further questions, please feel free to reach any one of us.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Motilal Oswal Financial Services, that concludes this conference call. We thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.